This is Carlos Phoenix, and I have both Tyson Alan Horne and Cairo Queen. But today we're going to talk to Tyson about the work that he does. He's a filmmaker, photographer, painter. And so, all right, you know what? Tyson,
yes,
located in Atlanta. You've been working on a bunch of projects right now. But I'm going to step back a little bit, and we're going to go into some of your origins.
All right.
You're part of the Horne brothers, which you have
the Horne brothers,
who are also in this filmmaking business. So tell us about that. Tell us about the Horne brothers.
The Horne brothers. Let's see. I have two other brothers, and we make up a company called the Horne Brothers Films, and we started back in 2005, making short films and music videos and just anything we get our hands on. And over time, we just, one thing led to another. We started doing TV pilots and eventually got into documentary filmmaking, and that's kind of where we are right now. However, we are working on a script for a narrative film. And we did a comedy, but some of the work that we did, a lot of it hasn't been seen because we've done a lot of startup projects. So we were pretty much a production company that was for hire. So we would get a lot of, people, artists, people with ideas that wanted to make things make things happen. So we would just work on those projects. So a lot of them, like reality shows, there's a lot that never really made it to the air, but we got a lot of buzz from it. The latest thing that's on is we did a lot of work on the Chris Tucker film that's on Netflix right now. And so we worked on a couple films that are out, and and right now we're working on several documentaries, several meaning 3 documentaries, and so that's who I am in the Horne Brothers. I'm the in the company. I'm usually the director and DP on set. One other brother, Byron, he is the producer. He pretty much handles all the production and all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And then Ryan, he's the younger brother, and he is a videographer as well as the editor for the Horne Brothers.
I got a heart that beats here. And it's just as loud as the next fella's. I don't care if he's black or white.
I'm hoping that these young people get inspired to live their dreams, to do what they want, to take the full advantage of America.
In a declining economy, where arts education is considered expendable,
your belief in yourself must be so strong that it doubles everyone else's collective disbelief.
The inspiring story of award-winning director Kenny Leon.
Kenny is a pillar in American theater. He started with nothing when it comes to theater, when it comes to his career. And he built up everything that he has now.
Witnessed the start of a mission.
We have the August Wilson monologue competition with all these young folks from all over the country. This monologue competition says to them, you could be anything you want to be.
Kenny Leon is dedicated not only to the theater, to August Wilson and developing a new generation of actors.
The start of a tradition.
Through what Kenny's doing, by giving them the skills and giving them the tools to function inside this thing that we call theater, they'll be prepared. But the one thing nobody can teach you is being in the right place at the right time.
The start of awareness.
Statistics are brought out about how much the theater and the arts improves education levels in a state.
So this tells me that artistic expression is fundamental to human development.
I could have been out there smoking or something else to fulfill that passion that's on the inside of me. But I don't got to worry about that because theater fills that spot.
Theater is like my first love. That's how I started acting.
My most impactful moment as a kid was watching live performances.
Just step into it. What you've got to be is the character and tell these stories. That's all you have to do.
And above all, remember, you are an American.
It's our tax money that provides the economy that we exist in.
why in this great country of ours, we elect people to take things from us.
So live, so live, so live, so live, for the righteous shall be lifted up.
I'm finally finding myself, even if it's in a 2-minute monologue, I'm finally finding myself.
The Start of Dreams, produced by Jennifer Thompson and directed by the Horne brothers.
And so, and it's kind of funny because, you know, I have to give a shout out to Carlos, because way back in the days, way back in the days, Carlos, he introduced me to the platform of Premiere, the editing platform. He kind of showed me how to find my way around that. So that's when I started editing years ago. Like, I don't even know when that was. That was way back.
It's got to be like 11, 12 years ago.
No, man, it's more than that, man. For real. It's a long time ago.
13.
Yeah. Like, you know, and so, you know, it's like basically Ryan is a really good editor now based on just time working together. So, and so I handle a lot of the visuals. And so that's kind of
when I met Tyson was doing like wedding stuff, and he was a very talented editor already, and he wanted to kind of learn other platforms and editing in the more high-end professional applications. And so I kind of showed him some of the basics that I knew, and then but his creativity, his ability to just have the right camera, coloring, lighting, compositioning, everything was always phenomenal. And so now, of course, I'm a peon, and you know, he's now the you know, this director and this person that's now working on films. And so, you know, early in the early days, you know, you're doing photography with some celebrities, and you were shooting things like you mentioned. Now let's talk a little bit of some of the reality shows that you were working on, the ones that were pilots or concepts.
Okay.
Who were in them, and that way, you know, people get acclimated to an idea of what kind of people you've been dealing with. Because, you know, everybody, you know, just like everybody wants to do music. And so tell us some of the celebrities you've been working with back in those days.
It's, you know, it's kind of, okay, it's kind of hard to narrow a lot of people down, because one of the things that we did was my younger brother, he was a journalist, is a journalist still. And so because he was a journalist, we worked with a lot of people doing a lot of interviews. So we did a lot of interviews for different magazines and such. And so, but as far as the pilots is concerned, like we did a pilot with Wanye Morris from BoyzIIMen, and we did a pilot with Dawn Robinson from In Vogue, and we, you know, I did a lot of photo shoots and production work with Chris Tucker, and just as far as the musical artists, I mean, I've worked with lots of artists, you know, from. It's kind of hard. Like on the website, we've been trying to narrow down how to like list all the people we've worked with, because we're in Atlanta. So Atlanta's a very musical mecca and hub. So it's kind of hard not to work with musical artists here. So we work with, you know, everybody from, you know, Outkast, B.O.B. to, you know, T.I. We've done a little bit along the way with a lot of different artists. So it's kind of hard to sit back and go, oh yeah, we did this and this and this, because we've done so many little things over, you know, 15 years of work. So it's just one of those things where we have some things listed on the website, but for the most part, okay, like, you know, my brothers just worked with, they did some stuff with Ice Cube and all the cast of, you know, Straight Outta Compton, and we're working on a film with the one of the it's like an Oscar award winning sound editor, but he worked on Straight Outta Compton, and we're working on a film with him right now as well. So it's like I try not to say too many names, because then it sounds like, okay, I'm just trying to name drop, but at the same time, it's like I know, but it's kind of hard, because it's like, like for instance, we did a film with our good friend Kenny Leon, who's a director, and he worked on 2 films here in Atlanta. And so the cast of that, we had Queen Latifah and Felicia Rashad, and then Anika Rose, that worked on another project with her for the Watsons Go to Birmingham. So, and we did the remake of Still Magnolias. So, we work with a lot of different people, but for us as a production company, it's not as cool to sit back and go, yeah, we did this, because a lot of stuff people never see. So, but over time, the work, when you sit back and you say, well, man, we've done this, we've done that, it's like it adds up. So right now, as an artist, I'm constantly looking forward to the next thing. Like, I'm working on this project where I went to Africa and worked in the slums of Africa with kids dealing with sex trafficking, and here in the States as well. And so that's like the current documentary that I'm personally working on and we're shooting. And so it's like you're always kind of working on something else, sort of working on the next project. So I know I'm a terrible interviewee, but
you're doing fine. So, all right. So right now, you mentioned so you just got back from Africa just a matter of weeks ago, and I know you're going to be heading back out. Mm-hmm. I can imagine, based on the topic of that film, that there's some kind of emotional, for lack of better words, baggage when you come back. Because you're exposed to some elements that you probably are not familiar with here, and you go over there and you're shooting.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, like, when I first I worked in Lagos, Nigeria, and when I first got there, everything was cool, because it's like, wow, you see people walking with the big baskets on their head and everybody's hustling and bustling. And so it's like, wow, I'm in Africa, I'm in the motherland. But it kind of hit me hard when we were driving, and our driver, there's some little girls that, they have, I forget what the word, they call it hawking, but it's basically like little kids that are on the side of the road begging for money. And so there's like this little girl, and so I had some snacks or stuff that I had with me. So I'm trying to give the kids snacks as much as I can before the driver takes off, because like traffic and everybody's honking and stuff like that. But I was trying to give this one little girl a bottle of water, and the desperation in her eyes running alongside this car, like almost, and he didn't get up to full speed yet, but this little girl is running next to the car, and I had broke down, because it was really hard to see that, because I have a daughter and I have kids, and to think about my daughter having to stand on the side of the road to beg for money from cars, and knowing that there's somebody like back just waiting for her to bring the money to them, it was really hard to see that. And then all the kids that were in the area that we went to, it was like, kids with naked, literally, walking in the village, and this is like I was in Makoko, so it's not many people know about Makoko, but it's a fishing village, but it's basically all these little shacks put together along the coastline, and it's really like almost like a sewer that people live in, and they live like in this sewer, in this dump, and there's no electricity or running water or anything like that, but they get around with these canoes. And so you're there, and there are little kids just literally naked, or with just some flip-flops on, or just underwear, and they all coming up to you to ask you for something, or ask you to get something. And they call foreigners there, or outsider, they call them Oyibo. So they'll say Oyibo. So I thought I was going back and I would fit in, like, okay, I'm going back to Africa, but I stood out like a sore thumb everywhere I went, because there's not many foreigners there. And so it was like it was hard there. But, overall, the good that came out of it was in those neighborhoods, like filming, the the kids that had to talk about the topics, they were very receptive and they opened up. And the people there still were smiling and warm. And there was some rough moments there because, we were extorted a lot because just from, the nature of being there and people trying to get money from you to do this or that. But it's kind of funny because I'm working with Wanye Austin, who has a Change Rocks Foundation organization, and she's been an activist for many years. She's a singer, songwriter. I'd love for you to interview her as well. But she's there now, and so it was her and I there, and a lot of times we were just kind of like, okay, are we going to make it back, or are we going to be okay? But the work that she was doing with the kids, teaching them skills and teaching them, she was teaching the program as well as me filming the whole process of what she did and who she was with and how she interacted with the kids. And so that was what I was filming on top of filming the video for the topic of sex trafficking. So I know I'm rambling, but you got to stop me.
Because we know each other. We never actually sat down and talked about this type of stuff. And it's great that it's in this platform too, for me, not only because it's interesting, but because one of the things I really want to show is, you as the passionate man that you are. And I think it's important that we understand, particularly filmmakers. We pick on Hollywood, we pick on the celebrities, but there's the guys behind the scenes, the camera people, the set dressers, and all that type of stuff. A lot of people don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and we just see the film that's there. And yes, the film itself has meaning, but we also don't realize how much it affects the guys that are out there shooting it.
Yeah.
Now, you're going back, but is that the same project or is it a different project?
I'm going back. Well, it's kind of weird because she, and this is another part of filmmaking. So my company, the Horne Brothers, we basically had to discount what we would normally do to work on a project like that in order to become a part of the project. However, the funding for us to go over and, be there, the funds ran out. And so Wanye had to go to fulfill an obligation of another organization, another workshop that she was going to do. And by her having to go back, it was like, okay, well, we just couldn't afford for me to go right now because my company, we're already kind of spread thin. We have actually another Nigerian. It's kind of weird because we're working on one Nigerian documentary that's about sex trafficking and, finding hope within these, very bad situations. And then the other documentary is like the American dream that Nigerians have to come to America, to come make it big here in America. So it's kind of like, polar opposites. But so I'll be going back to Africa to work on that project as well. But it's just one of those things where, right now I couldn't go back and I'll just have to wait until the next opportunity to go within this year. So it's just one of those things where traveling, we do a lot of traveling with the filmmaking, like with the Chris Tucker project. That was, we filmed in places like Abu Dhabi and Qatar and London and different places around the world. So that was filming like that. That's fun. That's not, but again, that's not. It's very difficult to have to, film in those different places as well. But it wasn't as dangerous as the one project I just worked on. Yeah.
Now, all right. So you've done reality shows, music videos. What is the final? What's the real ambition? Like, where do you want?
For me, we no longer want to be a production company. Yeah, I get what you're on that. I appreciate it. Like the days of taking these jobs just to do production, just to take, because we used to have a studio, and when we had the studio as a company, you have overhead. So we were forced to take a lot of work that we would normally not have done, based on having to pay bills and pay rent and all that kind of stuff. So for me, the goal with my brothers is to only work on projects that we believe in, that are true, genuine storytelling. Because we love documentaries, because we love real life situations and stuff like that, and being able to tell something, tell a story. We have a film that we're working on now because a couple months ago, an article was written by my brother about my brothers, and that was an AJC. And that was a pretty good article, and it got a lot of people talking, and it's about our family. And so what we're going to do is write a script based on the article, but getting more in depth to who we are as adults, because the article is written about my father and a long lost brother that we never knew we had and all that kind of stuff back in the 70s or 60s. But so we're going to kind of work that project. And that's something, it's kind of funny because Ice Cube and his camp, they heard about the story and they knew about, our article. And so when Ryan and Byron kind of looks like Ice Cube a little bit, and where everybody sees him, they say, well, you look like Ice Cube. So it's kind of funny because Ice Cube was like, man, it's cool, just don't sign any checks with my name. But other than that, they were very receptive. So hopefully we'll get a good buzz from that script when that's done. But so the ultimate goal for us is to become bona fide filmmakers that people could say, oh, I remember that film, or I saw that film. And that's what we're trying to do. Not so much just to be a production company, because you kind of get into, it takes a lot to make films. There's a lot of moving parts, and the joy is sucked out sometime when you're just trying to make a buck. So for us, it's like we were just trying to do stuff that we believe in and leave all that other stuff alone. That's where we're at.
So can I jump in?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So when I was young, my father bought me a bunch of cameras. I wanted to be a film producer. I wanted to actually be like the next female Spike Lee when I was younger. So I had this idea I was going to go and make sci-fi movies. As I thought, like, a black woman making sci-fi movies was like a great thing. So I was like really into Octavia Butler, and big Matrix fan. I've seen The Matrix like 188 times. I'm a movie junkie, but it's only certain kind of movies I like. Like, I will not watch a horror film. Mm-hmm. Would you guys ever do a sci-fi movie?
Yes, we. It's kind of funny. One film that we have that we're shopping now is okay. So we're trying to make it a little bit more gory, if you would, but it's pretty much like this was not sci-fi. We love sci-fi. Like I'm like Carlos. I can't wait for the next Star Wars film to come out. And all those epic type films. Those, George Lucas is one of my idols, and TX, was it TX 1138? That's like the real deal. Like I love all those type films, and I'm a big. I was telling the guys earlier, like I'm a big comic book nerd as well. So she brought me a bunch of comic books. So I just got these. So I'm gonna be
nice.
having my time filled with them. So yes, to answer the question, yes, science fiction. I would love to do that. However, as a up and coming filmmaker, because we met Spike Lee and all those type of filmmakers as well, and the thing about it is, for me, I'm more realistic. Like I like to try and set realistic goals. So I try to think of what films can we do within the budgets that we can obtain to try and get things done to allow us to get to the next point, and then hopefully somebody will give us a break to do a bigger production film that would be a sci-fi film. Like the film, we have one film that's called Lily, and that film is being worked on right now, and it's a thriller, and it's dealing with ghosts and witches and like a twist, more like a Fatal Attraction type of twist to it. So that's one film that we have. You know, it's kind of, we have so many things in the pot right now, but it's like, okay, one of these things are going to be ready soon. And then our mother, she's very demented, and she has like the Chucky dolls. You know? Yeah, she's demented. You know those Chucky dolls, like you know the Chucky, the little with the knife and all that stuff. Like she has those in her room on her bed. Like that's what she likes, and so we want to do a horror film to kind of you know pay respects to our mom, if you would. So that film Lily is kind of along those lines. Yes.
Salute to mom. We're gonna make somebody kill her in a movie.
She loves horror films, yet her glasses, her reading glasses, fell off the arm of the chair into her lap, and she damn near broke her neck jumping out of the chair, thinking it was something grabbing her. Like she's really easily scared, but she loves horror films. So yeah, that's we would love to do that. And we're big movie buffs. Ryan, he's the younger brother. He's really into. He can sit and name who played who in what film in what year, and Byron can tell you how much that film cost and how much it grossed, and you know all of that kind of stuff. Me, I'm the person that just looks at the shots and the visuals and like, wow, like how did they do that? What camera did they use and all that kind of stuff. So that's how we're made up.
That I think is my passion as well. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Carol. Go ahead.
No, have you said hi to all your viewers, Carlos?
Almost.
Because I see more people coming in, so I thought I'd say hi to Donald. I just saw Donald join on.
Donald.
Donald and everyone else who's come in.
It's actually
this is Tyson Alan Horne.
It gets kind of more scary when you see more people there. Wow.
Yeah, there are more coming. Look at that.
And please, guys, if you can tweet this episode, please.
Please.
We have filmmaker, photographer, and talented artist Tyson Horne, and we are basically going through his life and how it is to be this artist and filmmaker, and the projects that he's been working on and will be working on, and his future and so on. So, would love.
Yes. I got a question.
My co-host. Go ahead, Kyra.
Okay, now I'm getting deep with you. Is there a conspiracy inside the movie industry to keep putting out slavery movies?
You know,
about black people. Why are those the only movies you see with black people?
It's funny that you say that because, for instance, like Viola Davis, she's in one of our films. She's in one of the documentaries that we've done.
Wow.
And
he's got a lot of people in that one.
Denzel. And Samuel Jackson, all these other kind of people. So there's, we work with a lot of black actors. And the sad part about it is, it's like the conspiracy is that, and I'm just totally, this is my opinion, so this doesn't represent the Horne brothers.
Be real.
But my opinion is that people with money, okay, the people who control the distribution of the films, they kind of call the shots. And the producers that would have the money to produce a film, they kind of like to go with what's already been done. And so they know, okay, yeah, so we have another slave film, that should be good. There's another story. But 12 Years a Slave, I didn't learn anything from that because we have those stories over and over and over. And it's like,
over and over,
we have those
right.
stories about, people being servants or butlers or anything like that. And those are good stories to tell. But we're, for instance, I'm a black filmmaker. I'm black and I'm a filmmaker. However, I don't want to just make black films, and we're mixed as well. We're black and white, so I'm like, I could play both sides of the coin. Not really, but still, But the thing is, it's one of those things where, true artistic expression is not often supported on a larger scale. And so if you think about what's put out, it's like the things that are always regurgitated as far as like the action films, Superman's done 10 different times, or, Fantastic Four, all these, not to take away from anybody, but it's like, I think we just need more people with money that like to go to movies to put the money where their mouth is as far as doing something because it takes money to make films and it's a hard industry. And there's we're in Atlanta, and Atlanta is like, they call it, the Hollywood of the South. Some black filmmakers call it Black Hollywood, but it's Black Hollywood. But even the stories that are being told out of here are not. I mean, we have Real Housewives or, Love and Hip Hop or something like that. And I don't mean to put these people down, but it's like there's more. Like black people in general do more than just wait tables or serve people or do more than just. It's funny because in Africa, while I was in Africa, for 10 days, I watched African movies, and their heritage or their lineage starts with kings. And, you always hear that like, oh, yeah, we came from kings, but that's for real. Like that's those tribes and who are leaders of those tribes. So when they go back, they don't go back to the plantations. They go back to, when people were really kings and royalty. And so that's what they see. And that's how they come off. But here, like, not everybody in America descended from slaves. Not everybody right. was, came over here on a ship to be sold. You know what I'm saying?
On a boat.
So it's
right.
like there's so much more that we do as a people and that we can say, and there's so many more stories. But the problem is, yes, there is a conspiracy. It's hard to pinpoint that, but it's the same type of conspiracy that puts a liquor store and gun shop in the hood on the same corner, and a church. And, think that everybody can just work things out with some liquor, a Bible, and a gun. You know what I'm trying to say? So
yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Now, to kind of
excellent answer.
Topic, and I appreciate the insight because, that's the kind of conversations that we need to have. It has nothing to do with filmmaking or anything like that, but you're right. It's all interconnected, both on television, the dumbing down of America, as people put it, the music, and so on. And but I'll share being Latin American myself, and I'm not trying to dilute what you're telling us, but yeah, we have the same issue. We have the same exact.
Yeah.
Our hoods are also surrounded with liquor stores and our culture and all that type of stuff. I mean, we have our pyramids and we have our, Machu Picchu up in the freaking mountains where nobody can even breathe any air. I mean, so
great history.
Those are all
great history.
That's that country's history, and then it gets dominated by Europeans, and and the history is ridiculous, and we don't get taught any of that here, really. Yeah. It gets thrown in like a day or so of history class and stuff. But you're right. Now, Donald is mentioning or questioning, how about crowd?
So, crowdfunding is something that's new and it's working for some people. And actually, one of the films that we're working on now is we're working on a crowdfunding for that. We're working with crowdfunding organizers for that. For me, it's one of those things where, like, I like to do honest dealings with people, and so I personally know that crowdfunding works from what I've seen, but it's just one of those things where we're still learning about it and we're still trying to explore with it. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't work. For me, it's just that we've been approached a lot of times to say, okay, listen, we want to do this film and we're going to do this crowdfunding program to oh, you guys, oh, okay, sorry. Oh, you have to use the little one. Sorry. So Mr. Donald, it is something that we would like to do, but at the same time, it's like I don't know about it just yet because what happens is, okay, you know how like you get spam mail and spam email and a lot of times. So the way the crowdfunding is set up sometimes, it's like you have to tweet so many people or put it out so many times, and for me, not to discount filmmaking in general, because I mean I'm a part of the filmmaking union as well as an independent filmmaker, so I respect the process. Is that too loud in the background? I don't know. I can't hear.
Just a tad, yeah, it's a little
Can you turn it down a little bit, please? Thank you. So yeah, it's going to pick up on this microphone really well. Sorry about that, guys. So the process, I'm still just trying to get through the process of how to do it, because you hear about them and they're like, yeah, we raised the money to do the film, but then a lot of times it just doesn't pan out sometimes. And then some you have to raise a certain amount, and if you don't raise that amount, then they take it all away type thing. So it's still something new, and I'd love to see that happen. But I mean, you know, if you think about, I mean, from the statement that I made earlier, I mean, you know, there are so many people that have money that if people would just be supportive, then things could get done without the inflated prices that it takes to make films happen sometimes, because everything's inflated a lot of times. And so to do the type of films that we're trying to do, it doesn't take, you know, Lord of the Rings type money. It just takes the money to get it done. And so, but the problem is people don't really want to spend their money. They rather spend money that is someone else's money. And that's the hard part, because with this, there is, like I said in the beginning, that the people who distribute the films, they kind of like call the shots, because even like, for instance, we were in LA one time, and George Clooney was giving a class, and we were talking with him, and he said himself, he said that, hey, I'm George Clooney, and I'm, you know, paraphrasing everything because I don't, it was a couple years ago, but he was like, you know, he was like saying that even when he makes a film, after it's shot and done and in the can, so to say, he still has to go before this board of people to try and pick up his film and distribute it. Like, he has to go through the same process that I would have to go through to get somebody to say, yeah, I like that film. Okay, I'm gonna put my stamp on it and I'm gonna distribute it, because it's very much not, you're not just gonna go and make a film and, you know, Paramount is not just gonna pick it up and run with it. It's like, you know, it's a process, but the distribution of the films, that's where everybody's like kind of questionable about, because it's like, if the money that they put into a film, if they're not guaranteed to get that back, you know, which sometimes is a gamble, then they're hesitant about putting their money into it. So what happens is the original storytelling, that the stories that we'd like to see happen, they don't get told a lot of times, because they say, well, you know, we know, well, what, you know, how'd the help do? Did the help, okay, the help did really well. Okay, so if we do this film, we'll probably get this much money back. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where, that's the business side of it. So
everybody does the same thing. Samsung copies an iPhone, it'll sell, and once it started selling, everything looks like an iPhone now. They took away the keyboard, they took away everything. So granted, I'm changing to technology, but yeah, a lot of things are like that, and unfortunately, yeah, it does affect it. Now, Donald's saying yes, but some films
whatever
and cannot make a dime.
That's true. The film, I mean, one thing that I did learn while in that class with George Clooney is that everything starts with a script. If the script is good and people believe in the script, then ultimately the film will reach an audience based on the story, because the story has to be good. And it's amazing how many bad stories make it to the films and make it to Netflix and make it to the actual, you know, screen. But it's like, it's all about the story. So for my brothers and I, we have been blessed to work on films that have allowed us to create a buzz for ourselves and create a career for ourselves. But for us, we just want to tell really good stories. So we've held back a lot of what we could have done to try and tell stories that we more believe in. And, you know, like the documentaries that we've done, there were stories that we really believed in, and we told those stories. So, yeah, everything starts and ends with the script. Before anybody does anything, they say, send me the script, I'll take a look at it. And if the script is good, then that kind of dictates how the ball starts to get going. So we have a couple of people that are interested in some of the films that we have, and they want us to film like one of them in London. And we're like, we're at the table on that one. But that was another scenario where we had a script and we had to adjust the script some in order for them to say, okay, now it's more along the lines of something that we can sell to the people that are going to take it from here. So even with our own story, we had to say, okay, how much are we willing to bend in order to make something happen? So yes, I hope that answers something. I know I ramble. Please, guys, please forgive me.
Now, Outer Urban Cadet. We're talking about Tyson Alan Horne, and he's a filmmaker, musician, and artist. And right now he's kind of going over some stories about his experiences in the filmmaking process.
Well, really, we were talking about what side of the bread do you put the peanut butter on? And then, so for me, I like to, I
like to put it around the rim.
Okay, so I have another question, and it's in line with what you were just saying. As soon as I can get my screen to go back. Here's a thought, and I'm not sure why I haven't seen a lot of this happening yet, because and like we talk about cord cutting at this point. The film industry, of course, is in the space where Hollywood has been beaten down by the web also, and because of course movies are being jacked and spread all over the web for free. What's to stop you from creating an entire production
independently?
Not only independently, but doing a massive release with major marketing and advertising on the internet?
That's the way things are kind of going. I mean, but there's still okay.
By the way, adjust your camera so that we're not just seeing.
Sorry.
Who, me or who?
No, I'm sorry, Tyson.
Is that right?
Oh.
Okay, cool. So, is it everything good? Everything good? Everything good? Audio runs? Okay. All right. I think that's the way things are going to start going. However, there still has to be the marketing side of it is where it's everything is about the marketing. Like, for instance, if you put a video on YouTube, I mean, it could be there and it'll just sit there. And unless you have marketing tools in place in order to get a mass audience, then, it's kind of hard. So I believe that it's possible for us. For instance, we did a documentary, and the documentary won a lot of awards. We toured the country. People would stand up at the end of the film and start crying. People would come up and give us money. It was like that type of reception that's people were loving, right?
And that's how you made Chris Tucker, right?
Yeah, actually, Chris Tucker was at one of our openings for that film, and he was like, "Man, these guys are great. I want to work with them." So we did that film, and because of a couple of dealings here and there with different, between the producer and executive producer and some of the other companies that wanted to help us distribute it, it's like, so we had to pass on a couple of deals, but ultimately, the film hasn't been seen by the world yet.
General public.
So we're at the point where we're trying to get the producers, the executive producers, to say, okay, well, what can we do to just put it out? And we're hoping that we can just put it out just for people to see. But then, so then there's say again?
Wasn't it supposed to be on Netflix at some point?
We're hoping that that deal still can go through. But there's, so we have a great film that's just still sitting, and we're hoping that it can go out on Netflix soon, because that story was done in a way that it can apply to any time frame because of the topic and what we were talking about. So it's not really dated, but still, it's just one of those things where it's like, you do a film, and now how can it get out? There are a lot of films that we worked in the past. The narrative film that we did. Go ahead, Kyle. Yeah, where you at?
Well, and I think I mentioned this to you at one point, Carlos, because I am all about cutting cords. And of course, with a marketing background and understanding the move of technology, because I am a tech socialite, I'm always thinking about how to move people into a technology space. And I never understood this because I'm looking at Carlos's platform with the Lounge Network. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And Carlos would be great to bring a gazillion people to his website and crash his server off of a movie launch that was actually, promoted for about 3 months virally online. Now, my thought being, they spend billions of dollars on advertising releasing a movie, or millions of dollars, right? Advertising releasing a movie, right? Why not pay that same amount of money to some hackers to build algorithms to drive people to your movie?
That's the future.
Could you imagine? This could be done like in the next couple of months, and then to move it all to the Lounge Network and to have one commercial promo. You could create the same kind of quality production. Just put it on the internet. We're gonna watch it on the internet anyway.
This is
Why
true.
not just launch it there?
Let me kind of help a little bit on that. So yes, the internet is taking over and all this type of stuff and distribution. But you got to keep in mind, it's still a business, right? So, yes, there's a lot of creatives making films and just to get some kind of recognition, right? That need that voice though.
Something's happening with your sound, Carlos.
Is it really? What do you hear? Because I don't
It's
hear.
almost a little muffled. Is coming in and out.
Muffled. My apologies. What about now? Is that better?
Yes.
And please feel free to comment about my voice, because I know it's a horrible voice. But
Somebody asked about another film. There's the Start of Dreams is the film that we did. It's let's see, I'll type it here. It's the Start of Dreams, and that is on YouTube.
The intro,
the commercial, the trailer for it is on YouTube. But that's the documentary.
I'm not gonna look at it.
Yeah, so Start of Dreams is a film where following
Can you play stuff because I was thinking.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to incorporate the studio into this Blab, but right now
I'm about to put it on my tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you find it, Cairo, if you can put the link on the comments. I think the volume is a little high on your there, Tyson.
Say again. The volume.
The volume on the TV.
The TV.
Okay,
Yeah.
1 second.
All right, guys, we're trying to make it now. So to finish off what I was saying on to Cairo, it's still a business. Start of Dreams was financed. Somebody paid money to make it happen, and it has all these great stars in it that most of us will recognize. So those investors want that money back. So to release it easily on the internet may not be that much of an option, simply because, well, there's no income being generated in order to pay them back, at least to break even. And
why not charge?
I would love to see that.
PayPal, and get some. I'm saying this because let's just say you were to orchestrate. This be a whole new technology launch. To orchestrate something with your Apple Money platforms, Apple Pay, or your Samsung Pay, or your PayPal platform, and set it up online where you specifically are doing this brand new type of movie releasing. Whole new industry opening up for internet film. And
that's what I'm trying to personally build myself, but
it's happening. But it's happening. It is happening. A lot of things are done that way, and a lot of things go straight to the web, or the issue is just there is a working capital that has to happen in order for the production to be done properly. And so, is that mine?
Yeah.
No, I'm turning this down.
Okay. So what happens is, you have to make a way for that money to go back to the person who's putting up the cash in order to make the film in the first place, because you have to pay talent, or you have to pay, and sometimes you can get people to do certain things, but basically, I just went to a film screening not too long ago, and I was sitting there, and at the end, the filmmaker said that spent about $1 million on the film, and I was sitting there like, where did $1 million go? But yet they there she has it. She's about to play it. Okay.
No, keep talking.
Okay. So anyway, and so while I'm looking at the film, I was thinking that maybe that was done for like $250,000, but in the end they spent about $1 million on it. So they have to, in order to get that quality done, and then get it, for them to recoup that. That's where the dollars have to be. That has to be worked out. And for me, I'm hoping that something opens up for it.
Time right now, as far as the industry.
Look at her. She is she has 2 iPhones going. Oh no.
No, that's my laptop and that's my tablet.
Okay.
Okay, let me see. Let's see if we can get it moving.
Okay.
See what the sound is like.
I'll have to do a better job here.
Yeah.
Don't make fun of my screensaver. See what the sound sounds like.
I got a heart that beats here.
Oh, that's it.
And it's just as loud as the next fellas. I don't care if he's black or white.
I'm hoping that these young people get inspired to live their dreams, to do what they want, to take the full advantage of America.
In a declining economy, where arts education is considered expendable.
Oh, we lost her. I think she was probably using all her bandwidth there.
She probably hit a button or something.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna find this puppy. At least enough to put the link on the show.
Yeah, and make sure you get the one with the
awards.
The awards and the voiceover, because there was one released right before. Anyway.
All right. So, in respect to,
I got a heart that beats here.
I know you can hear it, but I apologize. I don't have yet. I have not put together my cam twist and everything to share it there. I'm hoping that's the right one. If you want to click on that, and if not, I'll find the other one.
Okay.
But all right. Well, I think we got a good gist of what you've been doing. Hold on. Let me see if you might need to try to come back.
Okay. Oh yeah, we've been on for an hour now. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to open up the floor and let anybody, join in, and if they have any questions or if there's any aspirations out there, not a problem. So I put the link for folks if they want to be able to quickly see that trailer. And so, you know what? Let's start kind of going towards the end.
Yes.
What's going on with what's next? I mean, I know you're working on that next African film. You mentioned that you guys are kind of working on your own personal film.
So what's the most immediate thing is we're polishing up a script that is so far the working title is Invasion. It's a short film, but it's about I don't know how much I can say, but anyway, it's about some guys that break into a guy's house, and they have a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot of things that happen, but the dialogue is based off of the black and white tension that's going on in America right now with, like Ferguson and Baltimore and all the different things that are going on. So it's basically like some black guys are going to be able to voice their standpoints and frustrations, and a white guy is going to be able to voice his. And we're taking it from extreme ends of the spectrum, so to say. And it's very heated, and it's a short film, and it's going to be designed to cause some controversy, and but that's what we've been doing. So we've been meeting for the past couple of weeks, just working through the script. We had 2 great writers, Nia.
No, are you gonna have like a Latino coming out from the back of the curtain after everything's over?
No, we're gonna for us, what we're hoping that the conspiracy. Just mention that, but there's something that I can't say right now because we're like in the middle of something. But when it's done, or whatever happens, I'd love to come back and like touch base back on that.
Oh, yeah,
because
definitely.
we had people from Hollywood literally say things to us that we were like, we didn't think that they would actually say that to somebody. It's sort of like, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like really in this day and age, that's happening. So for us, we're hoping that we can make films that we are allowed to integrate nationalities seamlessly without the story being about, you know, the race needs to happen when the race is imperative to the story. But for the most part, we want to be able to use multicultural casts just because if we're doing a love story, you know, the story could be about a Chinese person and a Mexican woman, you know, nothing to do with anybody's race, but based on the human experience. So that's what we're hoping to do. However, we got to kind of play ball in order to be able to at least get out there.
It's like with anybody that I've, and then we've had this conversation. I've had this conversation with some Latin directors, and one of the things that they focus on in the discussion is, should we be making movies about Latinos and using some of those stereotypes? And I'm like, you know what? You know, in the early days of Black filmmakers kind of getting in, they were trying to do the same thing. And I think it just, for me, great films, but it just created that wall for me. And then I look at someone like Robert Rodriguez, who's also kind of doing that. But the interesting thing with him is none of these stories have anything to do with being Latino. He's just using Latino casts. They're like sci-fi and horror and all this stuff that everybody can relate to and everybody comes and watches, but it's has nothing to do with being in the hood or the Latin hood or Mexico or.
That's what I want to see Black movies do. I don't want to see be a Black movie, but
what I'm saying is that everybody can write these stories, and sure, they can use, you know, a Black cast, I guess, if they feel they need to, because, you know, they need to simply because most of the films that use the Black cast are missing that Black cast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're not using their talents as raw as it can be, but the topics don't have to be about being Black or being Latino or being...
Or church. Why does every Black movie have to have church?
Well, that's just the way somebody a lot of...
So annoying.
Yeah, that's the...
You know what? I mean, that deserved a moment.
What's that?
You know, just like Spike Lee had his moment, you know, the church movies, you know, I mean, there was a time when religion just like, don't touch that.
Yeah.
You know, it deserves it. It deserves, just like we're talking about Black films and all that type of stuff, you know.
But you know, the thing about it is, like, you know, for instance, you know, I'm watching, and to Mr. Donald, he's always saying these cool things, but Google AdWords to promote it. You know, I'll take that suggestion to my brothers as far as like Google AdWords to trying to help promote it. We're just still stuck in one of those scenarios where it's like we have to get the support of everybody involved in order to make it happen.
But in the thinking process, such as using AdWords, and then you're also mixing up with the people who actually are in either Hollywood or the Black Hollywood.
Yeah, like for instance, that documentary is like, it was kind of one of those things where, I mean, we literally have Denzel Washington and, you know, Samuel Jackson and, you know, Viola Davis and so many other cast members that are doing a lot of things right now. But it's one of those things where even with that type of cast, there's still some barriers that are put, you know, there's some hiccups. There's some barriers that we have to still push through. And it's just amazing how, for us, we just want this story to be told. So we just want people to see it. We just want to tell the story. So we're not thinking about the money side of it. However, there are people who put money into that.
They want their money back.
They want their money side. So because we toured, you know, a lot of places, you know, in order to pull that story together. But yeah, as far as like, you know, for instance, the Fantastic Four, I mentioned that, like, you know, that brother, he's got a lot of flack just because everybody who was a comic book buff is like, well, how are they gonna be brother and sister, and how is he gonna be Black? And if they
hated Fantastic Four.
But you know, it's like, but there's a couple of, but you know what's crazy about it is like the first Fantastic Four that did really well had a Black director, but a lot of people didn't know that. So it's like, it's one of those things, but it's one of those things where I think it's going to happen. it's just that with anything, excuse me, with anything that's happening, like for instance, we watch all the time these like Rome and Empire Boardwalk and all these different or Boardwalk Empire. I forget the name, but anyway, so we watch all these films or television series, and I would love to see a television series dealing with the Black experience or Latino experience that's not
or both,
or both together, or any experience, but dealing with them when they're at the height. So can you imagine? Like you talked about, what was the name again? Up in the mountains, those pyramids that are up in the mountains, with the Latin America. No, Latin America.
Oh, Machu Picchu.
Exactly.
Machu
Picchu. Imagine having a television series about those cats when they were in their heyday. You know what I'm saying? Like when they were really doing it. You know what I mean? Like to have a series based in that time frame, or Hannibal, or in Egypt, and and
I
again
said that same thing.
Or because we have one. My brother wants to talk this week about Arthur that has wrote a series on Hannibal, and we're talking about doing that. But that's another big thing. But what's happening is, we love to see that come out. And I know there would be an audience for it because it was entertaining. You know what I mean? But it's like, there's one on Rome, but not really one on Egypt. And if they did one on Egypt, I'd love to see one where like the Egyptians were actually Black.
So if you find me somebody who can write, I have that story, because the whole reason that I'm named Cairo Queen comes from a sci-fi story that I wanted to create off of a Black Egyptian history story. Wow. And I promise you find me a writer, I'll give you a script.
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe you just need to hook up with the Horne brothers, because we're writing. We literally sit around the table and go line by line and write the script out. Like really, the creative process is actually pretty good.
Will mess you up. Everybody, they're like, "Wow, you need to make that into a movie." I'm like, one day I will, but trust me. I'll blow your mind away with this.
Okay, cool. I love to talk about that.
Before we go in another hour.
Okay. No. Yeah, because I have to run as well.
No, don't run yet.
Okay.
Let us at least inform everybody how they can find you and follow you and see what's going on with you.
Okay. All right. So this is bad timing because I think that the Tyson Alan Horne site is actually not up right now.
I shared that earlier, and that's down.
It's down. Okay, but I believe the Horne Brothers site is up. And THBfilms.com. And I'm actually working with Carlos to revamp that website as well. And so we are. You know what? I love to put this story. Let me find this story, bro. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, you know where that story is at? It's on Facebook somewhere. Hold on, hold on. I can pull it up. And because there's a lot of information about how to find us with that on that story. I'm just looking at it right now. Hold on.
You can follow Tyson at Tyson Alan Horne on Twitter, and I know he's on Facebook somewhere, probably at Tyson Alan Horne as well.
Yeah, Tyson Alan Horne, yeah.
And
are you on Periscope?
I am on Periscope, yes.
And
find you.
TheLoungeNetwork.com is where you'll be able to see this episode. Also on Blab, and Blab will be hitting the public possibly in the next week. In fact, Wednesday I'm going to be interviewing the CTO of Blab for those who are interested. And anyway, there's other episodes with other artists and filmmakers and independent musicians and all that type of stuff on TheLoungeNetwork.com. And Tyson, thank you so much. But don't leave yet, because we're just going to stop the recording and then we're going to open the floor so everybody can ask questions.